Welcome to the first episode of the Upgrade podcast. I appreciate you all for being here. I hope this is just one of many podcasts that we end up doing. Today's podcast is going to be about why most people never reach their potential. I first want to ask, why can two people want the exact same thing, yet one changes their life and the other is still in the exact same place 5 years later? And this kind of correlates with Theodore's idea of the man in the arena, where he says the person who doesn't matter isn't the critic, it's the one in the arena getting dirty, failing, and trying again. As someone that is always active and does a lot of sport, I was just expecting I was always going to be fit, I was always going to be healthy, I was always going to, grow muscle and be big. And personally, I can feel that with my fitness journey. The past couple of years, I was just expecting, because of the fact that I do a lot of sport, I play a lot of cricket personally, is that running's always going to be easy and that weightlifting I didn't necessarily need to do. I would have times of being motivated, as you could say, where I would have that 2-week burst of working out a ton. I've never owned a gym membership, but I just thought working out at home would do the work, and I'd see 2 weeks in, I would see no progress. And I would quit because I was like, I'm not growing muscle, there's no point. That went kind of on and off for the last 3 years. In December for YouTube, I decided to do a challenge of running 100 kilometers in 30 days. So I was running about 5 times a week, and the first 2 weeks, I didn't really see any progress. I didn't feel any better when I was running. And if anything, half the runs were even harder. I wasn't seeing my times get faster. I was seeing no progress. And this wasn't until I got to like the 3rd or 4th week till I actually really started to notice some differences. I was looking at the stats on my Apple Watch where my heart rate would be lower, I would have higher heart rate variability, and my VO2 max increased really quickly out of nowhere. If I wasn't doing the YouTube challenge, I probably would have given up after 2 weeks, not seeing any differences. But the fact that I had to do it as a challenge, it took the personal side out of it. And it showed me that being able to just be disciplined and do it consistently is what changed. And what I noticed was being able to do it consistently and being disciplined over that period of time that's when you start to see the results. And about mid-February, I decided to do a workout like challenge kind of thing. My goal wasn't working out 7 days a week or trying to gain whatever, My whole goal was to see what kind of progress I can make by just working out consistently. And for the first week, I saw no progress. For the first 2 weeks, no progress. No progress in the first month. I even have all the measurements down and there was just no change. I kind of just decided to just do it consistently because it's good for my health. So I kind of stopped recording for it because there was no YouTube video to make when I made no progress. But I decided to keep doing it anyway because it was a good start to my mornings, made me feel better for the rest of the day. When I got to about month 3, I kind of started to notice some big differences. I took some photos, I did the measurements, and I noticed quite a big difference just in that time. Like everything was more bulkier, everything was more sharper. I couldn't believe how much my physique actually changed in those 3 months when nothing happened in the first month. And I'm about 4.5 months in now, and I can just notice the differences, and I'm not stressed about it anymore because I know in 6 months it's going to be a lot bigger. Even though I don't notice a big difference from now to 3 months, I know from now to a year, 2 years, it's going to be huge just by staying consistent. One of my favorite quotes is, do the obvious thing for extraordinary amount of time. Everyone nowadays is trying to overcomplicate the simple stuff, trying to cheat code it, try and shortcut it because they don't want to waste the time. Most people never reach their potential for these 7 reasons. Most people never decide. The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation, from Henry David Thoreau. I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name. But the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. What you need to think about here is wanting isn't deciding. A lot of people want to do all these things. They fantasize it without deciding to put in the work. The night before, maybe they set up a schedule for the morning routine, and then it comes the morning rolling around at 6:30, 5:30 in the morning. It's cold and they don't want to get out of bed. Maybe they don't feel like working out because they're busy now. That run isn't so exciting now because it's rainy weather outside. And that's just the difference between the 3: motivation, discipline, and obsession. They're all 3 completely different things, and they all get mixed up in the wrong way. We'll go over that in another time, but also hoping isn't commitment. What you need to do is to decide and commit. Commitment gives you clarity. I started off this YouTube stuff just wanting to do YouTube to promote a game I was making, and then it turned into wanting to create an app to help people's health. I realized my whole thing was I wanted to help people increase their health, lifestyle, help people, most importantly, be the best versions of themselves. And a question I would like to ask you on that and think about this is, what have you decided? In the past, what have you decided and not committed to? What have you decided now, or what do you want to do? And are you actually going to commit to it? Or is it just another idea, another thought that's not going to happen because you're too scared to take that first step, or when that first step comes around, it's too scary? People overestimate 1 year, but gigantically underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And this is something that you hear a lot of successful people say. From Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Tony Robertson, a lot of people say they think in decades instead of years. And the problem with that is most people can't think in decades because their life changes so much and they can't even fathom what their life will be. I'm 20 right now, and looking to when I'm 30, I have ideas of where I want to be, but that's just such a long time. And that's also the point of it. Compounding habits, instead of having the 1 year goal of being able to do a marathon maybe in 1 year for running. Let's take running as an example. Say your goal is to run a marathon in 1 year. Now, that's a pretty hard job. Being able to run a marathon in 1 year alone is a huge thing. What are you going to do after you finish that marathon? You're going to stop running again? You're going to keep running every now and then? Like, what are you going to do with that now? You've already reached the pinnacle of what most people find running as. I like to think of this as compounding the interest of habits. What habits do you have that are healthy for you? Is it working out? Is it exercising, running? Writing a book, maybe? It could be a lot of different things. Instead of thinking of it as, I've got to write this book within 1, 2, 3 years, why don't you think of it as writing 3 to 5 books in 10 years? Compounding the habit maybe is writing a page every day, or doing drafts, or doing those little things every day compounds so much over the 10 years. It's just like investing, and just invest in your habits and just do a little bit each day. Maybe it's reading 10 pages each day. Just take small steps every single day. Don't try to climb Mount Everest as your first mountain you're going to climb. Maybe you start with little hikes and build your way up over 10 years to get to Mount Everest. Don't in your first month expect you to be able to get there. And especially with business, people say they want to make, like, say 100K in 1 year, a million in 1 year, 50K in 6 months. Yes, the rare 1% may do that, not even. But looking at in 10 years and seeing what you want to create in 10 years and build completely changes your mindset. James Clear says, just improve 1% every day. Mathematically, you'll be roughly 37 times better after 1 year. Personally, being 20, what would my life look like at the age 30 if I started today? For you, thinking 10 years ahead, what will your life look like if you started today in 10 years instead of delaying it 10 years? Peter Hollins says, the successful among us delay gratification. The average person checks their phone dozens of times a day. And the most teenager, my kind of age, is probably in the hundreds to 200s to 500s. It's the infinite scrolling. It's the instant stimulation. Being able to delay that gratification and keep working hard towards those results while seeing nothing in return is what gets you to that step. It's hard for a reason. Mr. Beast says he reminds himself when it's difficult, when it's hard, that it's hard for a reason because no one else can do it. If you're finding something hard and difficult and you'll be able to push through and get through it, that's an amazing thing. How can you build an extraordinary life when you can't even sit in a room alone for 5 minutes, just with your own thoughts? It's not even the younger generation. When I wait into waiting rooms or something like that, it's the same with old people. Nothing against them. Even they are just sitting on their phone, scrolling or doing whatever because everyone nowadays just can't sit there. Maybe back in the day you read a newsletter or whatever, but it's nothing like the stimulation we get from devices today. It's something I'm trying to do often, even the little things like going out and leaving my phone in my car. I've heard a lot of people say that they move their phone to their left pocket or the other pocket they normally have it in. Because when you're in a line, you go grab out whatever's in your right pocket and you forget just automatically. And that makes you realize, oh wait, I'm grabbing my phone for no reason. Being able just to sit with your thoughts for 5 minutes is so powerful nowadays. It's a skill that not many people can have. I'm not perfect myself. I still have days where I waste my day scrolling and I regret it so much at the end of the day, but it's important to learn from that. Nowadays, boredom is becoming a complete advantage. I know boredom is also related to people being stressed. So I'm not saying try and be bored all the time. Don't do a 10-hour looking at the wall challenge. That's stupid. But being in the line or being in a situation where you would want to pull out your phone and scroll or just check it for no reason, check the weather app. Next time, just think. Especially if you're someone that studies, I learn a lot. And for your brain to take in that information of what you learned and put it into a certain spot in your brain, I'll make it easy to understand, to remember for long term and short term, but it'll put it in your long term while you have sleep, as long as you have good sleep. And that happens when you're in that line doing nothing. When you're on your phone, it makes your brain busy again. You can't take in the information you did before. But say even if you just go for a walk without your phone, without music, and just going over what you learned is so, so powerful. Every action is a vote to the type of person you wish to become, from James Clear. And I really like this whole relate your goal to an identity. Even if we go back to the whole running thing we were talking about earlier, say we have the goal of running 5 kilometers. Instead, you should change that running 5 kilometers into identifying yourself as a runner. Even if you don't run, just identifying yourself as a runner makes you statistically more likely to do the action. Maybe you have the goal of reading a book. Change that identity into you are a reader. Say with addiction, if someone offers you a drink or a cigarette to smoke, instead of saying to them, oh no, I'm trying to stop, or I've quit, say I'm not a smoker, I'm not a drinker. Change that identity in your mind, because whatever you say out loud, you believe. Who do you need to identify yourself as to become who you want to be? Most people quit because they don't see results immediately. This is something that we talked about earlier, where I talked about working out and saying, I didn't see results in the first week, the first 2 weeks, the first month. I was measuring, taking photos, and I saw no results at all. So I stopped recording a video where I was seeing how much muscle, whatever, I could gain, and turned it into, I felt good after exercising. It made me feel more energized for the day, so I'm going to keep doing it consistently. Instead of doing it 5 times a week, I do it 4 times a week now. 3 months rolled around, and I noticed huge differences. I took photos of the measurements again, and I could not believe how much progress I made by just being consistent. I was this close to quitting. I've been quitting for the last 3 years because I don't see results immediately. But it's when you take the 3 months, the 6 months, the 1 year, the 2 year, the 3, the 5 year, the 10 years, you will see results if you do the obvious thing for an extraordinary amount of time. Say you want to be a content creator, just post a video once a day. Sure, you might not blow up in a week, a month, a year, but give it 2-3 years of posting every single day and you'll become a content creator. Example, with this podcast I'm doing right now, I wanted to do podcasting, but I've never found the time for it. Well, now I have the time. In the back of my head, I'm hoping, say I get 10,000 views or whatever, but it's my first podcast. Even for my first 5, 10, 100, 500, 1,000, I mean, maybe by 1,000, I would hope I would have a couple people watching. But it's not the idea of, I hope I have 100,000 in a year even, but it's saying in 10 years, hopefully I have 1 million. It's turning from expecting something immediately, from just doing the obvious thing for an extraordinary amount of time, the amount of things you will learn, the better speaker I will be becoming. I've already noticed a humongous difference from where I was 6 months ago to where I am now. What if success is simply staying in the game longer than everybody else? That's something that I extraordinarily believe in. People try and get into the game early and then not get anything, and they just leave because they're not getting the results that they see other people have. Overnight success isn't a thing. Even the people that have the overnight success, they've still been working towards it for 3+ years. Being where you want to be is just staying in the game longer than everybody else. You do not rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your systems. I love the analogy where he talks about at the start of a 100-meter race final for the Olympians, they all have the same goal of getting a gold medal. But only one person gets it, and that's the person that has the greatest system. So make sure your system is good. Maybe it's the morning routine. Maybe it's your work. Maybe it's the way you do everything. Make sure you do the small things correctly, because having the goal doesn't get you the accomplishment. But doing the work, putting in the hard work, having the system correct and actually applying it gets you to where you want to be. Because research consistently shows that social circles strongly influence health behaviors, exercise habits, and obesity risk. So does your environment make success easier or harder? Nothing is so common as successful men with talent. That's new person, Calvin Collar Age or whatever. I can't pronounce last names very well. But what we can talk about here is the potential of being able to do something feels amazing. So many people are addicted to the thought of what they can accomplish in life. I know personally for me, I've definitely had moments where I get excited about what I can achieve. But then when it comes to the doing, it's a lot harder than what it actually is. Executing the thing becomes uncomfortable when you actually have to do the work. Dreaming about a business is fun, but actually building one is hard. Thinking about getting fit is fun, but the training is hard. So a question I have for you, are you in love with the potential or the progress? Are you excited by what you can achieve, what success looks like when you accomplish it, or are you obsessed with doing the action? The person that loves walking will walk further than the person that loves the destination. Because one thing I wanted to make clear in this podcast was that you don't become extraordinary through one massive decision. You become extraordinary through thousands of small decisions repeated over the years. And if you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you subscribe, follow to What You On. I post this on Spotify, YouTube, Substack. I'm not sure what else I will post on in future. But I'll be posting this episode with another 2 episodes, so make sure you check them out now. Unless you're on Substack, you'll be getting this one early. I appreciate you all. Even if one person sees this, I appreciate you watching it all the way through. It means a lot for me. My first ever episode, and hopefully it's the first of hundreds to thousands.